Shifty Shift is at it again, and he is in big, big trouble. Adam Schiff is, possibly going to jail for this one because it's mortgage fraud. He and Letitia, what is it with people that are like falsifying their primary residence so you can get a few points off on their mortgage? I mean, I know it adds up over time, but mortgage rates were already pretty low. Were they not? Right? I mean, they were really low, and now they're higher. It's one of the things that Trump is upset about. But Adam Schiff allegedly decided to, Trump has sent out on Truth Social all the documentation supporting this. And, of course, Bill Pulte has been very vocal about this, so much so that now the DOJ is investigating it. Adam Schiff allegedly decided when he was a congressperson from the state of California to buy a house in Maryland and say that it was his primary residence. And then apparently later on, when he finally switched it, he did a switcheroo and he admitted that the primary residence was in California. There's something going on about how he tried to get two primary residences and therefore two primary rates on the mortgage. See, here's Donald Trump talking about it recently. He kind of lays it out without really laying it out because he has to be somewhat cautious and careful on this. But Adam Schiff, this is not looking good for you, buddy.
It looks like Adam Schiff really did a bad thing. They have him. Now, let's see what happens. It's not up to me. It's not up to, I stay out of it purposely. But it's mortgage loan fraud. It's a big deal. He defrauded banks and insurance companies and the federal government. But it's very simple. It's mortgage loan fraud. And you're right. It's a lot of people to live in a one-bedroom apartment, right? But he put it down. But he has a lot of other things far worse than that. So, no, Adam Schiff, they have him 100% on mortgage fraud. Now, if there's anybody else in this room except you would have no problem. But anybody else in this room, you'd have a problem. I'd have a problem. Yeah, please.
I mean, yeah, it pieced my mind right. Aren't these like politicians millionaires? Yeah, because, all those stock trades, when you get certain information, I guess after time it goes your way. Just saying, they got to fix that one on the insider trading. That one makes me angry, but I digress. Piece of my mind writes, are they cheating on their mortgage? With all the money that they have, why would you do that? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I just don't know why you would take those kinds of risks. I would think that, when you're in the public eye, like Adam Schiff is, and you have aspirations to be senator, which he became, like, why would you take that risk? Why would you take that chance? I mean, and by the way, he's a lawyer by background. He should have known better. But then again, like the fact that he did that, that's coming back to haunt him, along with some other stuff, okay? Let's just say, along with some other stuff, like the Russia thing that we had to listen to forever. I want to go back to 2016. He was on with my former colleague, Tucker Carlson, who had a show on at 8 o'clock on Fox News. I was over on Fox Business, also at 8. I'm like, why are you doing this to me, guys? Really? My 2 o'clock was kind of nice. I could be home with the kids at night. Anyway, I was on at primetime on Fox Business, and I don't think I ever put Adam on. I don't think he would ever come on, actually, my show, because I was pretty darn vicious to him on a regular basis. Schiff Show, and we had Schiff Show 1, and then we had the sequel because of the second impeachment. But he did go on with Tucker, and now he's on record saying this. I want you to just hear it, because these words are coming back to haunt him, I think, in a pretty epic way. Watch.
Let me just ask you one final question. Can you look right into the camera and say, I know for a fact the government of Vladimir Putin was behind the hacks of John Podesta's email?
Absolutely. The government of Vladimir Putin was behind the hacks of our institution and the dumping of information.
Of John Podesta's email.
Not only in the United States, but also in Europe.
Okay, you're not, you know what, you're dodging.
And Tucker,
look and say, I know they did. John Podesta's emails, they hacked
And
those.
I think that Ronald Reagan will be rolling over
Ronald Reagan.
You're carrying water for the Kremlin.
I'm not carrying water for the Kremlin. You're a sitting member of Congress on the Intel Committee, and you can't say they hacked.
You're gonna have to move your show to RT Russian television, because this is perfect.
This is beneath your office, because it's so dumb and you're being duplicitous. I'm asking you, did they hack Podesta's emails? And you can't say it. Look into the camera and say they hacked John Podesta's emails. We know for a fact that Putin's government did that. You can't, and you know you can't, and you're hiding behind weasel words.
He told Tucker that he was working for the Kremlin? I mean, you know what? In fairness, I was on the air. at that time, so I didn't actually see that until quite recently, believe it or not. I mean, I'd seen a lot of different clips with Tucker over the years, but that one really struck me today in light of everything, right? Because so Adam Schiff is facing like a couple issues. One, of course, is the obvious mortgage fraud allegation, which Donald Trump just alluded to. That's going to be a huge problem for him, and I think he's kind of freaking out at this moment in time, not only because of that, but also because of this Russia stuff, right? And that's where, you know, people are looking for real indictments here. And I'm telling you, they're coming. Like, I know people are like, okay, well, they haven't come yet. But I want you to listen to what Radcliffe said the other day and just think about this, because this is the head of the CIA, mind you, the new head of the CIA. It's a different kind of CIA. This is what they were afraid of, right? Because you would have effectively a whole new team coming in, calling the shots, and that would mean that the old deep state was out and there was a new kind of, I won't call them deep state because I don't consider them to be that, but I do think that this is going to be very problematic for one Adam Schiff, because he was part of this lying process and he continued to do all these lies. He actually hasn't as of late. Like, I haven't seen him. He spoke out on this and he just said he was so disgusted that the president would use the Oval Office to do this, that, and the other. He didn't actually say, one, that he was innocent of this Russia stuff, or he didn't really come out and defend himself either on the mortgage stuff. So I'm interested to see where he goes with all this. He's got to be pretty nervous right now. Here is Director Radcliffe speaking. I think this is with my former colleague Maria. She's awesome. A couple of weeks ago, and they're not going to let this go. Here we go.
So what I think I hear you saying is there is still an opportunity for indictments, potential prosecutions, accountability from those people who may have lied under oath, like John Brennan, James Comey, and perhaps Hillary Clinton.
Well, that's why I've made the referrals that I have. DNI Gabbard has made referrals.
Yeah.
And why we're going to continue to share the intelligence that would support the ability of our Department of Justice to make bring fair and just claims against those who have perpetrated this hoax against the American people and this stain on our country.
Director, one other question on this. Tulsi, as well as President Trump, used the word
treason. That's what she said. She used the word treason. And Tulsi's pretty upset about all of this as well, as you guys well know. But in other words, Adam's got it coming from all directions. He's got it coming from the mortgage fraud thing, which, you know, like, look, I don't know how he's going to explain it. Like, it's all there on paper. Maybe he'll say, well, I mean, you can't have two primary residents. You can't, I mean, the difference between like what Adam Schiff may have done or Letitia James may have done and what Donald Trump was accused of doing by Letitia James is that was a private transaction with Deutsche Bank, right? A private commercial transaction. And he's accused of lying on square footage and this, that, and the other for Mar-a-Lago. And he is accused of inflating the valuation of Mar-a-Lago, although that'll be the day, like, that'll be the day when Letitia James or the government is deciding the valuation on your property. Thank you very much. Let Deutsche Bank make that decision. They're the ones that are taking on the risk, right? But what Letitia is accused of doing, what Adam Schiff is accused of doing, is actually putting taxpayers at risk, because it was, you know, it was a very different scenario than what you saw with the German bank and Donald Trump. And so it's a very different sort of set of facts, but similar, right, in nature. It's like he took what they accused him of doing, which was sort of convoluted, and he actually pinned it right on them. Sort of amazing. And is the media reporting on any of that? No, right? No, because the media doesn't want to report on this stuff, because the media is in bed with the Democrats. And that's what's so messed up about all of this. And this is why, you know, as we began this show, we talked about how the View's going out of business. View's going out of business because you can't have one from just an interest standpoint, only one viewpoint on set all the time, 24/7. And two, you got the FCC controlling your airwaves, so you definitely can't do that. What were you guys thinking over there at Disney ABC? Oh, I know you weren't thinking, because, you know, you had all this woke nonsense in your head. But here's Tulsi explaining it, laying it out, how the media is in bed directly with the Democrat Party and thus perpetuated a narrative that wasn't true.
They are using the same old tactic that the deep state's propaganda arm in the media uses. Whenever they come across something that is true and that doesn't go along with whatever their narrative is that they're trying to shove down the throats of the American people, they first usually ignore it, as they did when I first released these documents a couple of weeks ago. They tried to ignore it. When they realized that they weren't going to get away with this, that this story was going to continue breathing life, we continued releasing new documents. Then they decided, oh, we'll take this approach of say, oh, this is nothing. There's nothing really to see here. This is bizarre. This is a conspiracy. These are the things that they do over and over and over again. And the next step they will take when they feel that they are not succeeding in getting rid of this truth that we have uncovered for the American people, then they will go down the route of we must destroy and smear and attack the credibility of those who are delivering the truth to the American people. They've done this to President Trump. They've done this to me. They've done this to so many different people. Once again,
yeah. I mean, this is what they do. This is the game they play, and she's onto them, and they're upset about that. But you know what? DOJ investigating Adam Schiff for mortgage fraud, the same as they're investigating Letitia James, not just for mortgage fraud. By the way, Letitia James has another investigation that she was hit with last week that we brought to you. Of course, she's being investigated by the DOJ out of Albany, New York, because she is accused of violating Donald Trump's civil rights with that insane lawsuit that the insane judge decided to slap a nearly $500 million, $500 million fine on the now president for. And I'm blown away by the fact that the appellate court, which clearly didn't think Letitia had a leg to stand on, hasn't come out with its verdict yet. What are we waiting for? Why hasn't that happened? I mean, it's been over 300 days. Normally it takes 30 days. And don't tell me you're too busy. I mean, that's a wacky thing.